Work on the ground. Eliminating the need to work at heights is the most effective way of protecting workers from the risk of falls. Examples of eliminating the risk by working on the ground include reducing shelving height so that workers can assess items from ground level, using tools with extendable handles such as paint rollers, but we must be mindful of the risk of musculoskeletal disorders when working at a height above shoulder, installing windows that pivot to enable cleaning from a safe position inside a building rather than outside. Work on a solid construction. Working on a solid construction provides an environment where the likelihood of a fall may be eliminated. A solid construction means an area that is structurally capable of supporting workers, material and other loads applied to it, is provided with barriers around its perimeter and around any openings from or through which a person could fall, has an even, accessible surface and gradient, and also has safe means of entry and exit. Structural strength. Different types of work involve different loads on the supporting surface. The surface and its supports must be able to safely carry the expected loads, including workers, materials, tools and equipment. When in doubt, have a structural engineer determine the safe load capacity before use. Barriers or edge protection to prevent a person falling over edges and into holes should be provided on relevant parts of a solid construction. The barrier should be designed and constructed to withstand the force of someone falling against it. Protection of openings and holes. Holes, penetrations and openings through which a person could fall should be made safe immediately after being formed. If a cover is used as a control measure, like in a cellar area, it must be made of a material that is strong enough to prevent persons or objects falling through and must be securely fitted to prevent any dislodgement or accidental removal. Fall prevention devices. A fall prevention device is any equipment that is designed to prevent a fall for temporary working at heights, and once in place does not require any further adjustment by a worker using the device. A temporary work platform is a working platform other than a permanently installed fixed platform used to provide a working area for the duration of a job. The design of platform prevents workers from falling. Temporary work platforms include scaffolding, light-duty suspended scaffold, elevated work platforms, mast climbing work platforms, work boxes, forklifts with work boxes attached, building maintenance units, and platforms supported by trestle ladders. Perimeter guardrails. Guardrails may be used to provide effective fall prevention. At the edges of roofs, at the edges of mezzanine floors, walkways, stairways, ramps and landings, on top of machinery and structures where access is required, around openings in floor and roof structures, and at the edges of shaft, pits and other excavations. Guardrails should incorporate a top rail of 900mm to 1100mm above the working surface and a mid-rail and a toe board. Before using a guardrail system, you should check that it would be adequate for the potential load. The required load resistance would depend on the momentum of a falling person. For example, the momentum of a person falling from a pitched roof will increase as the pitch or angle of the roof increases. Please refer to the Australian New Zealand Standard 4994, Temporary Edge Protection, for further guidance. Work positioning systems. A work positioning system involves the use of equipment that enables a person to work supported, to work in a harness, and is tensioned in such a way that a fall is prevented. For further information on work supporting systems, please refer to the Code of Practice. Ladders. Ladders are primarily a means to access and egress. Many falls take place when people are working from ladders. In addition, when using a ladder, the working width and movement is limited. The time involved in moving and setting up ladders is often underestimated when planning people's work. The work position of ladders is often uncomfortable, and the need to stretch sideways or work above shoulder height and stand on narrow rungs for a long time and may cause musculoskeletal disorders. For these reasons, you should consider whether an elevating work platform or scaffolding would be safer or more efficient. Portable ladders. Extension or single ladders should generally only be used as a means of access or to egress from a work area. They should only be used as a working platform for light work for short duration that could be carried out safely. Selecting the ladder. If ladders are used, they must be selected to suit the task to be undertaken. In doing this, you should consider the duration of the task, the physical surroundings of where the task is to be undertaken, and the prevailing weather conditions, if applicable at all. The ladder should have a load rating of at least 120 kilos and be manufactured for industrial use. The positioning of ladders. Any ladder used at a workplace must be set up on a solid and stable surface, and set up so as to prevent the ladder from slipping. Single and extension ladders can be prevented by slipping by placing the ladders at a slope of 1 to 4 and setting up step ladders in the fully opened position, and securing ladders at the top or bottom, or if necessary, at both ends. The following diagram indicates the safe use of ladders. The safe use of ladders. When a ladder is used, you should check that the ladder is in good condition. The ladder should be inspected for faults such as broken rungs, stiles, and footing before it's used. Damaged ladders are removed from service. The ladder is set up on firm, stable, and level ground. The ladder is the correct height for the task to avoid reaching or stretching. The ladder is not too close or too far from the support structure, and the distance between the ladder base and the supporting structure should be about 1 metre for every 4 metres of working height. The ladder is secured against displacement, for example slipping or sliding, and there is other person holding the base of the ladder. The ladder is not placed so the weight of the ladder or any person using the ladder is supported by the rungs. Safe ladder use continued. Please ensure that all locking devices on the ladder are secure. Materials or tools are not carried while climbing the ladder. Use a tool belt or side pouch. Only light duty work is undertaken whilst on the ladder, where 3 points of contact can be maintained and tools can be operated safely with one hand. You must ensure you have a slip-resistant base, rungs and steps are provided. You must also ensure that slip-resistant shoes are worn. Ladders are not used without additional appropriate precautions. For the following scenarios, and access areas or doorways, if necessary, erect a barrier or lock the door shut. On scaffolding or an elevated work platform to get extra height is never a suitable use. Next to power lines, unless the worker is trained and authorised and the appropriate ladder is being used. Must not use ladders outdoors in very wet or windy conditions, or next to traffic areas unless the working area is barricaded. The details of safe ladder use is quite prescriptive. Please refer to the Code of Practice for detailed information. Administrative controls. Administrative controls can be used to support other control measures and may include no-go areas, permit systems, the sequencing of work and safe work procedures. Using administrative controls exclusively to minimise the risk of falls is only appropriate when it is not reasonably practicable to use a high-order control. No-go areas. No-go areas can be an effective method of making sure people are not exposed to hazards. They require clear signs warning people not to access the hazardous area. They can be used to highlight the risk of entry to an area where there's an unguarded hazard, or to areas where work may be undertaken overhead and there is a risk of falling objects. Relevant information and instruction should be provided about no-go areas, with adequate supervision to ensure that no unauthorised worker enters the no-go area. Barriers should be used in conjunction with signs to cordon off areas where there is a risk of fall or being hit by falling objects. They should be highly visible and securely fixed to prevent displacement. Permit systems. Permit systems allow only competent persons trained in the use of relevant control measures to work in an area where there is a hazard. Organising and sequencing of work. An administrative control may be as simple as safe work procedure that describes the step involved in safely undertaking a task. It may also include any particular training, instruction, and the level of supervision required. If relying on administrative controls, it may be necessary to provide a high level of supervision to ensure that the safe work procedure is being adhered to. Thank you for your time today. Further information in relation to managing the risk of falls can be sourced from the following locations: Safe Work Australia, the Code of Practice Managing the Risk of Falls at Workplaces, and Restaurant and Catering Australia for industry-specific advice. Thank you for your time.